18 years ago, during a fierce thunderstorm, a mysterious tower suddenly rose in the heart of the city. As if summoned by it, strange blue energy portals, known as gates, began appearing throughout the streets. From these portals poured waves of terrifying creatures, threatening the peaceful lives of everyday citizens. But just as the world teetered on the edge of chaos, a few extraordinary individuals awakened with powers beyond human limits. These brave souls stood against the monster invasion, wielding their newfound strength. The world came to know them as players, humanity's last hope. With the appearance of the tower came more than just danger. Enchanted weapons, gold coins, and ancient artifacts began falling from the sky. In this altered reality, players quickly became symbols of power, wealth, and admiration. Our story follows a young man with a solemn gaze, standing inside a guild office. He held several heavy bags in his hands. Unlike others, he had never been chosen as a player. A stern man in a suit pointed toward a table, instructing him where to place the food. Smiling politely, the young man apologized for arriving late and wished everyone a good meal. Later, at a busy intersection, the same young man waited at a red light on his moped. He noticed a massive digital billboard and lifted the visor of his helmet to get a clearer view. The ad featured a young player, born in South Korea, displaying awe-inspiring magical abilities. Energy swirled in his palm as he fought back waves of enemies. The moped driver stared, completely captivated. This player, praised as one of the strongest, turned entire groups of orcs into frozen statues with ease. A loud honk snapped the young man out of his trance. An annoyed driver behind him shouted that the light had already turned green. Flustered, he quickly took off. That evening, under the soft glow of a street lamp, he parked his moped and noticed the red mailbox overflowing with letters. Curious, he rushed over, flipping through medical bills, loan notices, and school documents. But the letter he longed for wasn't there. With a deep sigh, he closed his eyes, telling himself not to get his hopes up. Inside the modest home, he called out that he was back. His little sister stepped out of a room and praised him for working hard. He asked why she was still awake. Heading to the fridge, she casually said she was finishing her homework. Then he asked about their mother. Lying under a blanket, their mother seemed more peaceful than usual. The girl mentioned she had just fallen asleep and was doing better that night, giving them both a small sense of comfort. The young man turned toward her and said it was time to give their mother a massage. But before he could move, his sister grinned and stepped forward, holding a chocolate cake with a candle shaped like the number 18. She beamed and shouted a cheerful, "Happy birthday." Shocked, he asked where she got the money for such a cake. Did she spend the money she'd saved for new clothes? With a small, proud smile, she said she still had plenty saved up and teased that she'd eat the whole cake herself if he didn't. She explained it was from a really famous bakery and that she loved chocolate cakes. His face softened. Noticing her worn-out clothes, he gently called her name, Yuang, and patted her on the head, thanking her sincerely. She giggled and handed him a small envelope with a heart sticker on it, urging him to read it before cutting the cake. Curious, he opened it and froze. His eyes widened, his hands trembled. Inside was an official invitation from the Players Association. His sister burst out laughing through tears of joy, explaining that she found the letter earlier and kept it hidden to surprise him. Overwhelmed, he couldn't stop the tears from falling. For the first time, his fate had changed. Clutching the letter, he looked toward his mother's room, a fire of determination in his eyes. As clouds drifted across the night sky, dawn approached. The next morning, the Korean Players Association building towered above the city like a monument to possibility. Standing at its base, the young man gawked in awe. Then he closed his eyes, took a breath, and reminded himself, this was just the beginning. Inside, A smiling staff member welcomed him with a warm, "Congratulations, new player Ju." Blushing a little, he thanked her. She reached out and explained how to access a player's profile by saying the words, "Information window." He gave it a try, and a glowing status screen appeared before his eyes. There it was. His name, Level 1. And a mysterious line marked with question marks next to unique abilities. Confused, he asked what it meant. Raising an eyebrow, the woman clapped her hands in delight. She explained that the question marks meant he had a rare, unrevealed ability, something few players were blessed with. Ju stared in disbelief, a huge smile breaking across his face. His heart pounded with excitement. The employee raised her hand in celebration and assured him that his coach would explain everything soon. Just then, a familiar voice echoed through the hall. She turned, expecting a regular coach, but standing, there was none other than Soku, the iconic player featured in countless advertisements. Ju's eyes widened. He stood speechless, unable to believe that the man from the billboards was now standing right in front of him. Soku narrowed his eyes, determination flashing across his face. He insisted on personally escorting the new recruit into the organization. Surprised, the main character pointed at himself, confused. "You mean me?" The receptionist folded. Her hands caught slightly off guard. Soku explained that he had overheard their conversation and confirmed the young man had unique abilities. The revelation hit hard. The boy trembled, stunned. The receptionist hesitated, noting it wasn't exactly by the book, but with a playful wave of her hand, she said she'd make an exception. With 10 years of experience under her belt, she assured them her authority was more than enough to approve it. Grateful for her leniency, they thanked her. A set of massive gates creaked open ahead, revealing the entrance to the tower. Soku motioned toward it. "Shall we?" he asked calmly. Ju nodded, his expression solemn. As they stepped through the portal, Soku reassured him, nothing to worry about. Before the boy could ask his question, something shifted. A goblin, hunched and snarling, twitched in the distance. Then another. Soon, dozens were visible beyond the trees surrounding the portal. Ju's eyes widened. "Are there always this many monsters on the first floor?" Soku's expression didn't change. "Sometimes they pile up. Happens when no one clears them, for a while." "That's bad, right?" With a practiced motion, Soku drew his sword. "On the contrary, it's perfect. Gives me a chance to explain the basics faster." He launched into an explanation as they approached the gathering horde. There used to be a test, the 100 goblin trial. You'd fight 100 of them, no skills allowed, all within a set time. It was banned for being too dangerous, but it was the most accurate way to gauge potential. Soku's voice was steady, almost clinical as he elaborated. "Complete it in 5 hours, you're advanced. Do it in 2 or 3, you're looking at an A rank. Finish within an hour, that's elite tier." He spoke as he moved, his blade slicing cleanly through the goblins. Heads and torsos split with precise, almost effortless cuts. The monsters barely had time to react before they were dead. Ju watched, stunned. Each strike was fluid and devastating. Soku moved like a blur, unfazed even as he spun through clusters of monsters. But for someone with unique abilities, Soku continued as he crushed a goblin's skull. The time limit's different. 10 minutes, that's the benchmark. Jiku stared in disbelief. 10 minutes to beat 100? Soku glanced at his watch. "I did it in 47 seconds. The younger man ran to him, breathless. "How am I supposed to do it in 10 seconds? Soku chuckled. "Ordinary players need years to reach this level. But people like you, you'll get there in months." Behind him, a burst of violet energy erupted, an aura of raw, untamed power. He explained that those with unique traits grow at an exponential rate. Then, turning to a frozen goblin, Soku asked, "Heard of the Angela Guild?" Ju nodded. "They've got that really young ranker, right?" Soku smiled faintly as more armored warriors in the distance trained. Most of their players completed the goblin trial in under 3 hours. But I'm forming something better. A guild stronger than Angela's, built on players like you. Ju stood stunned by the ambition in Soku's voice. Placing his hand on the frozen monster, Soku unfroze it with a spell. Let's begin your first hunt. The goblin's eyes lit up with fury as it lunged forward, snarling. Soku gave quick advice. Brace your legs, keep your back firm, watch its axe, take it. As the creature swung its weapon, Ju's eyes sharpened. He furrowed his brows with fierce resolve. This was it, his chance to change everything. 5 years had passed. The sun gleamed brightly over the forest on the tower's first floor. A sword slashed through the air, forcing a goblin to leap back in alarm. A curly-haired man wearing glasses observed the scene, his gaze catching on something. Ahead, nearby, a man wielding an axe rushed over, apologizing for his delay. The man with glasses turned to him, smirking as he replied that the delay had given him the chance to witness something amusing. The swordsman lifted his weapon high, ready to strike again. Nearby, the main character furrowed his brows in frustration. The blade slammed into the dirt with a thud, its wielder panting from exhaustion. The armored man looked on, his expression falling as his gaze landed on a familiar blue window, the comeback challenge that had once again gained popularity. The curly-haired observer muttered that he was thinking the same thing. With a loud exhale, Jiku opened his mouth and summoned a digital status screen. The glowing blue window floated in front of him. It reminded him that he had received an invitation from the Players Association when he was just 18. In frustration, he dropped to his knees, pounding the earth with clenched fists and screaming into the woods. The man in glasses stared, arms outstretched in disbelief. The tank of the group stood shocked, mouth agape. Despite the unique powers he'd gained, Jiku was still struggling. Even after 5 years, it took him more than an hour to defeat a single goblin. Drenched in sweat, Jiku couldn't fathom that players like him still existed. After all this time, his level remained at 1. With a clean, practiced strike, a goblin was sliced in half. Its weapon clattered to the forest floor as its lifeless body crumpled. The swordsman let out a sigh of relief. The rest of the squad stood nearby, surrounded by fallen monsters. Their leader commended them for their performance. When asked if anyone had leveled up, a brunette nodded. A man in an orange hoodie chimed in, saying goblins had become much easier to deal with. After only a few kills, his level had already risen. Jiku gave a small smile. Lower levels go up quickly, he noted. Turning to his team, he announced that they would move to the second floor tomorrow and told them to meet at the entrance in the morning. As he walked away, his squad nodded in agreement, watching him. Go. Is he really that well known? One of the team members asked, eyes still fixed on their guide's retreating figure. Another replied that they'd heard a lot about him. The squad leader bent down and picked up a glowing purple stone from the dirt. When asked why Jiku was famous, he paused, eyes closed in thought. There are a few rumors, he finally said, furrowing his brow. Some say he has a unique ability. The brunette's eyes lit up. Seriously? Is that true? Just rumors, the leader shrugged. As Jiku walked along a worn path past newer players, someone scoffed. If that were true, would he still be stuck on the first floor? The leader chuckled. Word is, he ranks dead last. The brunette blinked in disbelief. There's a rank lower than 2? Crossing his arms, the leader replied, he's not even officially ranked. Everyone gossips, but no one denies the nickname he's earned. High above, tree branches cast shifting shadows over Jiku as he moved through the underbrush. He glanced to the side. Among players, he was known as the one who couldn't level up. He arrived at a secluded spot, a hidden nook deep in the first-floor forest where others rarely came. After finishing his job as a guide, he always returned here. Each day, one goblin would appear in this clearing. Right on cue, a monster began to materialize nearby. Drawing his sword, Jiku reminded himself that even a surprise attack didn't guarantee a win. The goblin stood facing away, spear in hand. Jiku moved slowly, each step deliberate and silent. Sweat beaded on his face as he inched forward. Just as he prepared to strike, the goblin twitched, then spun around. Steel clashed. With wood, the goblin had blocked his blow. Jiku gritted his teeth. The goblin, though weak, was still holding its own. Even with 5 years of experience, even with skill, a level 1 player was still at a disadvantage. Their weapons met again and again. Jiku parried, pushing forward. It was always like this. He knew the fight would take a while. Elsewhere, the sun was beginning to set. Its golden light bathed the Players Association building in warmth. Inside, Jiku trudged down the hallway of the guide department, calculating how much he could earn if he sold his M crystal for 20.1 coins. After factoring in the cost of the potion he'd used, the profit was non-existent. He sighed. As he reached a door, it swung open, and a man named Theo stormed out with a sour expression. Jiku asked if he'd finished his work. Theo gave a stiff nod, but said nothing as he passed by. When Jiku mentioned that he was working late, Theo said nothing, tucking his hair behind his ear and muttering an apology as he walked away. Inside, Jiku approached the desk. "What's wrong with Theo?" he asked the employee seated behind it. The man, Tessik, head of the guide department, didn't answer immediately. Hand to his forehead, he muttered that starting tomorrow, Theo would be in charge of the guests Jiku had guided today. "What? Why?" Jiku asked, visibly stunned. "Everything went fine." Avoiding his gaze, Tessik admitted that rumors had reached the guests. Jiku frowned deeply. A scabbard was slung over his back. "What does that have to do with guiding?" he asked, voice low. Tessik sighed and leaned on his desk. Everyone in the room knew exactly what he meant. Suddenly, a voice burst from the TV screen mounted on the wall. "The Angel Guild has reached the 75th floor." Everyone in the office turned toward the broadcast. The anchor announced that the Angel Guild would soon challenge the 75th floor, a feat never before achieved. A grand departure ceremony was scheduled for the next morning at the gates in E. Jiku watched, eyes filled with quiet awe. The whole city was buzzing. A hero had emerged from South Korea at last. "These players," he said softly, "most of them were just regular people before the tower." Tessik nodded. "Now they're treated like idols. The gate can open anywhere. Anyone can become a player." The anchor continued. If the Angel Guild succeeded, it would be historic. Jiku stared at the screen, his face unreadable. The news felt distant, like it came from a world he wasn't part of. Then came another headline. An S-rank gate had appeared in the US, and the American government would soon request official help from the Korean Association, offering a substantial reward to those who answered the call.